Main Road, Highbury, White Hart Lane, the Jungle Retreat Stadium out of Super Mario Strikers. What do these all have in common? And that is that they are all iconic football stadiums, but they're also all a thing of the past. So in this video, we ask the question, have modern football stadiums sold their soul? Goodison Park is next on the chopping block. The stadium down at the Bramley Moor Dock in Liverpool, it's being called the Everton Football Ground for the time being, very creative. That'll be finished for next season, and it's just another one of these soulless generic football stadiums. I'm not saying Goodison Park and amongst the others didn't need to be replaced, because Goodison Park, I've been there on an away day. The floors are wooden, it feels like it just would collapse without a second's notice, and I do completely understand it. Everton want to progress the football club, and obviously matchday revenue is one of the biggest revenue drivers for these teams. If they're not getting into the Champions League, if they're not winning titles, then selling out crowds, which Everton probably will do at the new stadium, that's how they are going to progress the club financially. But at what cost though? Because obviously Goodison Park is one of the most iconic football stadiums in England. It's just across Stanley Park from Anfield. It's very cool seeing a bird's eye view of both stadiums within about a mile of each other, if not mistaken. And now essentially it's going to be turned into a bit of a tourist area. You know, on the docks it'll be a lot nicer than it is now. So are we losing something in football when these grounds are turning from the historic old ones? Obviously with Man City going to, I believe it's called the City of Manchester Football Stadium after the Commonwealth Games, they went away from Main Road, and I'm sure some fans now still would like Main Road. They still like to stand on the Kippax. Obviously with Highbury going to the Emirates, they wanted to progress the club a lot more because the size of the football club that Arsenal were becoming, they were outgrowing Highbury, and it is completely understandable, but it's a give and take because you do lose something when you move to these huge arenas. Because of the sheer size of them, they have to be mainly built in, some sort of industrial parks, whereas back in the day, as you can see, Goodison, it's within loads of houses, which it was a pillar of the community. It used to be like that. However, now obviously, it'll be miles away for some Everton fans to travel from where they used to go to Goodison. Now they have to go all the way to the docks. And not to dig into Everton, but it does look a bit soulless. For example, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think that looks like one of the best stadiums in the world at the moment, and I think people can agree. I think it's designed really well. It seems like the stands have been created well. The pitch looks cool. Whereas when I'm looking at Everton Stadium, I'm looking at the complete stress this has put on the football club. For that, it looks like something you create in career mode on the new FIFA. And I think teams are starting to lose their home advantage because of these moves to these big arenas. Because if we look at White Hart Lane, if we look at Highbury, if we look at Goodison Park, they were all quite close to the pitch. As we can see with Stamford Bridge at the moment, they're trying to sell Stamford Bridge. They want it in a different area because they can't really expand. Their stadium is a lot smaller. So to get that matchday revenue, which Chelsea will sell out every game in 2-3 minutes, they need a 60, 70, 80,000 seater arena to withhold all of that. It's in one of the most expensive areas in London, and the capacity is only over 40,000. But I think the big question is, should fans care? Because you'll see on especially social media people who never ever go to the games. And that's not a bad thing, but their argument is that they want the football club to progress financially, so then they can buy an Mbappe, they can buy a Jude Bellingham, and they can challenge for the Champions League, the Premier League, and everything that comes with it. And I think these fans, as people like a Mark Goldbridge, who obviously watch all his games on live streams, but I think if you ask a lot of Chelsea-going fans, do they want to sell Stamford Bridge? A lot of them would say no. A lot of Chelsea fans bought a share of the pitch when Ken Bates was in charge of the club, and this has made it really difficult for Chelsea to essentially sell the ground and move on to another place, because simply a lot of power has been given to the fans, and I think it's one of the best things that has happened to any club in football. Realistically, if you've been going to Stamford Bridge since you're 8 years old with your dad and your uncle, and you go to the same pub every game, you know all the people in your area of the stand, then why do you care if you can buy Mbappe? Why do you care if you can buy Mo Salah? You just like the match going experience. Of course, the stay-at-home fans will be a lot more inclined for them to move to a bigger stadium because, yeah, it's more entertainment on the TV. But we always forget about the match-going fans. And let's face it, it's a bit of a lie when these owners say we want to progress the football club. Yes, they do a bit, but they are thinking about their own interest. And at the end of the day, why should I, as a football fan, care about an American billionaire's bank account? Why should I, if I was an Arsenal fan, care about Stan Kroenke buying another island? Why should I, as a Tottenham fan, care about Daniel Levy buying a few more Ferraris? And I think as football becomes more of a global game, and I think with fans who aren't from the area that they support the football team in, present company included, that some fans, not including myself, don't necessarily care about the heritage of the football ground. They see 11 men on a pitch every single week, and they want the best entertainment out of those people. That is their prerogative. You can't argue with it. That's just how they want to digest football. However, as I'll keep on saying till I'm blue in the face, you have to care about the match-going fans, because essentially without the match-going fans, then you don't have an advert to present to the global audience. Why are Liverpool such a big club in the world? Yes, they're successful, but they also have such an iconic stadium. They have such an iconic stand in the Kop. If you went to Signal Iduna Park in Dortmund and you tore the yellow wall down and you made it into padded seats and a nice little stand, and I think even one of these French teams has a hot tub in their ground, then it's just going to completely wipe out the atmosphere, and then you've lost the biggest selling point of the club. And I think these points are starting to sound somewhat xenophobic, but it's the Americanization of football, isn't it? We've seen the LA Rams Stadium where you'll see loads of concerts in, and it's an absolutely incredible stadium. It might be the best in the world. It's got the big screens right around the stadium. It is absolutely fantastic, but it's for a spectacle. It's for a spectacle like the NFL is. I tell you what, Jim Radcliffe, you try to do that with the new Old Trafford or the Wembley of the North that you're trying to promote. See how that works out when Man United are drawing 1-1 to Southampton in December when Ten Hag hasn't won a game for months. I'd be interested to see how loads of adverts going around the top of the stadium will suit with all those Mancunians. But unfortunately, with a very, very large percentage of American owners in the Premier League, a lot of them don't care about the football heritage. And when we're seeing Todd Bowley promoting Hilton hotels with a bed overlooking Stamford Bridge during a game, it's not a stretch to say they don't care, and this is the way they're trying to push it. Luckily, I'll be shocked if the fans who own shares in Stamford Bridge's pitch want it to be moved, but with these owners, they will find a way, unfortunately, and there'll be some get around it eventually. But I think it all does essentially come down to the match-going fans versus the casuals or the people who watch it from home, and neither one is right at the end of the day, and unfortunately the match-going fans are outnumbered a hell of a lot, because there's a lot more people watching from home. So when Brian, who lives in Surrey, is watching his favourite team, Man United, lose their 5th game in a row, and they need to get linked to Victor Osimhen and Lautaro Martinez and they can't afford them, he's not going to care one bit if Old Trafford gets torn down and they build a new one right next to it and they sell loads more tickets. But unfortunately with that, we are just going to lose more and more and more of the soul and the emotion of these football stadiums. And if you're tired of people banging on about nostalgia this, nostalgia that, I'm in that camp as well. Football is brilliant still. There's fantastic players. It might be better than ever. But with these lifeless arenas that they keep on feeding and feeding into the game, then it could take away the soul of football. Let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of modern football stadiums. Are they progressing? Do they need to be progressed? I think in some cases, yes. Like Goodison Park, they do. I just think sometimes the execution might not be brilliant. If you can leave a like, if you can leave a comment on this video, like I say, tell me what you think. And thanks for watching.